everybody? Welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today we got a brand new teaser trailer for Halloween Ends. This is the third and final, I believe, entry in the new rebooted Halloween trilogy. And yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, look, I really liked the 2018 initial, kind of reboot, sequel, re-sequel type of deal that they did. But yeah, the last one, Halloween Kills, it was cool in how brutal it was, but man, they made some really interesting decisions in that movie. And yeah, I hope that they can stick the landing in this one. I hope they learn some lessons because, look, I love the Michael Myers franchise, as ridiculous as it gets and as convoluted as, we're on like timeline number 4 or 5, I believe. So, as ridiculous as it can all get, I still do enjoy the franchise. And so I hope that it does stick the landing in some way. And this has the possibility to kind of redeem the last movie for the decisions they made in that one. So yeah, I am excited about this, and let's go ahead and see what it is. Okay, is this still 2018? Because the last two movies all happened on the same night, so. Okay.
Come on, let's go.
Their saga ends. Okay.
Come and get me, motherfucker.
Okay, October 14th. Alright, so we didn't get a whole lot. It was just a little teaser. I remember hearing some interesting things about this movie. First off, I remember hearing that this movie was going to actually skip ahead a couple years. And that they were somehow going to involve COVID, or they were going to mention the fact that COVID happened, which seems crazy. Those first two movies, they all technically happen in 2018, because even the second movie takes place during the same night. So, you gotta imagine now, it's like, okay, well, this movie's coming out in 2022. Are they gonna skip to the present day, and they're gonna say that, yeah, COVID happened, so, 2019 may or may not have happened, but 2020, 2021... those Halloweens you might as well have not counted. Are they gonna say something like that, and that's how they're gonna explain this supposed time skip, if that does indeed end up happening? But one thing that they definitely seem to be promising in this teaser, which I think a lot of people are gonna be thankful for, is that Laurie Strode is not going to spend this whole movie in the hospital. So in the last movie, she was literally in the hospital the entire time, and admittedly, that makes sense, right? Because she was attacked in the 2018 movie. She was pretty brutally injured in that movie, right? So it's like, okay, yeah, she's gonna have to spend the whole movie in a hospital. The only problem is, we're following all these other characters that we don't really care about, trying to deal with Michael Myers, So it's like, we're finally getting back to essentially the main character of the franchise, other than Michael Myers, is Laurie, right? So they are promising that we're going to get that fight again, And I have to imagine that they're finally going to put some kind of, finality to it, If this really is the end of this trilogy, if they're not going to just drag this out for even more movies, which I hope they don't, look, I want the franchise to continue, and they can reboot it again, or they can make another sequel to a different version or something. I'm okay with that. But like, if this wants to be its own self-contained thing, where it's like, all right, it's the original Halloween, and then it's these three movies, and then that is where this version in this timeline, that's where this ends. And then, you know what, 4 or 5 years down the road, they can do another reboot, you know, maybe start completely over, or do a prequel somehow. I don't know. My point is, I'm okay if they keep the franchise going, but I would rather this story, this version of it, actually end, you know? So does that mean Laurie has to die? Maybe. Or maybe Michael has to die. And I guess that's my other thing too, is like, I'm okay if this version of Michael Myers dies. You know, like let it have some stakes. You know, truth is, we're not gonna have Jamie Lee Curtis forever, you know, and she's still here, she's still able to do these fight scenes with Michael Myers, you know what I mean? So let this matter, let this mean something, you know. Don't let it just be like, oh, we'll make another 3 or 5 movies, you know, like, and just keep it going forever. Like let this feel significant, you know, while it still can, you know, not to be too morbid about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this one, and it does, you know, all I can say is that I hope that they've learned some of the lessons from last time, you know, like, you don't have to make all your characters stupid, you know? I think that was another thing, is that, like, in the last movie, it's not just the questionable decisions they did, like, plot-wise, but, like, all of the characters, none of them had, like, basic survival instincts, you know? Like, and I know that's a trope in horror movies, right? Like, all the characters are stupid, they all check out the spooky noise or whatever, but it was like, it was constantly people just going places on their own with no backup, and it's like, what are you doing? You know, like, that one guy went into that Michael Myers house and then he dies in 5 seconds. Like, why'd you go in there? Why not just wait until a dozen other people can show up? Why would you go in there by yourself? You know, not that it ended up mattering when Michael Myers is faced with a dozen people, but still, there, you know, I think that is the thing that gets on a lot of people's nerves, is like, you got to make your characters at least competent to a realistic degree. I understand people are gonna make stupid mistakes when they're in a horror movie, but I don't know, you got to make them a little bit smarter, just a tiny bit. But you know, look, if anything, we are actually gonna get the Laurie and Michael fight again, and this might actually be an ending fight, you know. And I'm curious how they set this all up. If they do the fast forward of like years, I wonder how they're going to explain that, because, you know, at the end of the last movie, Michael Myers is free, he's walking around town. So if they just skip ahead a couple years, I don't know how, you know, I'm sure they'll think of a way to, like, oh, we locked him somewhere and he's been stuck there, but then he got free again, you know. I don't know how you can't have him roaming free for years in this town, because the town won't last that long, to be frank, you know. Like, if he's let loose for 3 or 4 years, that everyone in the town will have been killed at that point. So I don't know, I'm very, very curious if, like, you know, maybe Laurie beats him at the very beginning and then they fast forward a couple years and then the real movie starts or something, you know. That'd be kind of an interesting direction to take it. And yeah, like I said, I thought, you know, again, this interview was like years ago because the real life COVID had happened. But I thought I had heard in an interview, they were like, oh yeah, the pandemic's going to be mentioned in the next Halloween, and that's going to be like a plot point or something. So I don't know what you do with that. I mean, I guess it can be interesting, the idea that, like, hey, Michael Myers is free, but everyone is stuck inside their homes, and there's no Halloween this year or something. Like, there's ways they can make it interesting, you know, like, oh, it was a pandemic, we're all locked down, we can't go outside, and Michael Myers is just walking down the street and we're all just looking out our windows and there's Michael Myers. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, there's ways they can kind of play with that idea. We'll see what they end up doing. Either way, look, throughout its ups and downs, I still enjoy this franchise, and I hope it keeps on going, but I do hope that this timeline, they let this timeline end, and then they just make a new timeline later. It's okay. I'm fine if you reboot it again and create timeline number 6, and it's like, here's another timeline. I'm fine with that. Just let this one be the end of this one, you know, like it'll feel like a nice, neat story, and that'll be it. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Halloween Ends. How did you feel about what was it, Halloween Kills, the last Halloween movie? Are you confident that they might be able to like stick the landing and kind of redeem that last kind of fumble? Or did you actually like that movie? Maybe you did. I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.